Empire built monuments for power. Communities design neighborhoods for survival. Palaces become museums, but a culture's true blueprint is written in its residential area.
Welcome back to Last Digital. Today, we're stepping outside the gates of the Forbidden City to analyze Beijing's historical residential core, Shichahai and the Hutongs.
We're breaking down how these neighborhoods were built to keep people safe and fed through centuries of extreme weather, and we're tracking these through the city's most resilient and highly debated traditional foods. Let's get into it.
If you want to understand how old Beijing functioned, you have to start at Shichahai. Right now, this looks like a scenic park, but 600 years ago, this water network was the primary transport hub. It served as the northern end of the Grand Canal, linking the capital directly to the food supplies of southern China.
Millions of tons of grain, silk, and timber travel over 1,000 miles to land right at this port. Shichahai provided a continuous supply chain that kept the Forbidden City and the surrounding capital fed. Without this constant flow of goods, the city would have faced starvation within months.
Branching directly out from this water hub is a dense network of narrow alleys called Hutongs. Following Yuan Songning dynasty laws, these main alleys were about 3 to 5 meters wide to allow two-way carriage traffic.
The core building here is the Siheyuan, the traditional four-sided courtyard home, but from the street you only see blank gray walls. Even if the main gate is open, an interior shield called a spirit wall blocks the view. But if you step past it, the layout opens completely into a shared central courtyard.
The house faced north-south to block cold winds, used a central courtyard to cool the space in summer, and had roof overhangs sized to let winter sunlight in while keeping out the summer heat.
From housing to food, the exact same logic of practical survival applied here. Let's look at the baseline of Beijing cooking, Beijing roast duck or 烤鸭. It was developed centuries ago as a nutritious house food before evolving into a culinary tradition.
First, air is pumped under the duck skin using a specialized nozzle to separate it from the underlying fat layer. Then, it's coated in a liquid maltose glaze and air-dried for a full 24 hours until the skin turns into a moisture-free layer.
When it goes into the brick ovens, they burn wood from fruit trees. Their natural aromatic oils season the meat while it roasts. That heat liquefies the fat layer, frying the skin from inside out until it's perfectly crisp.
From there, the chef slices the duck into uniform pieces, making sure every single slice has the exact ratio of crispy skin and juicy meat.
While roast duck was for the royal court, the daily staple for the working class was Zha Jiang Mian, the iconic fried sauce noodles. They take thick, hand-pulled wheat noodles and top them with a deeply savory, dark paste made from fermented sweet bean sauce that's been slow simmered with cubes of pork fat.
The noodles themselves require heavy physical labor, poured and slammed against wooden tables repeatedly to align the gluten strands so they keep a dense, chewy texture that never gets soggy. This was the nutritional backbone for millions of laborers, builders, and craftsmen who physically built the capital.
It provided high-calorie, high-sodium food source that could be quickly prepared in the small kitchens. It's everyday comfort food designed for raw utility.
From everyday meal to sweets, the same preparation continued as street foods entered the Forbidden City.
A perfect example is Wandou Huang, or pea flour cake. This started as a humble snack sold on corridors of Beijing's Hutong, but its refined texture caught the attention of unpressed dowager Cixi, who orders the street vendor to move into the imperial kitchens to make it for her daily.
White peas are boiled, mashed, and repeatedly pushed through fine silk screens to eliminate every trace of fiber. Once chilled, it's cut into clean, smooth yellow cubes that literally melt in your mouth.
Right alongside it in the royal course was 驴打滚, which translates directly into the rolling donkey. It features layers of steamed glutinous rice cake rolled around a dense sweet red bean paste. The entire log is rolled heavily in a thick layer of golden roasted soybean flour before being sliced into rounds.
The name comes from local Beijing humor. The final dusting looks like a donkey kicking up yellow dust on the roads. It's a basic street food that made its way into the royal palaces.
Beyond sweet desserts, the local diet also relies on functional foods to maintain health. In Beijing, a cultural marker is a traditional drink called Douzhi, which people here have been drinking for over 1,000 years. Douzhi is a vital health food long before refrigeration or imported produce. This food was packed with vitamin C, protein, and beneficial bacteria that kept people healthy.
Frankly speaking, the initial sip can be shocking. This grayish-green liquid is the byproduct of fermenting mung bean starch, yielding an aggressive aroma and flavor profile reminiscent of sour and aged pickle. You seldom drink Douzhi by itself. It's always paired with jiaoquan, deep-fried dough rings with a hollow inside, along with pickled or salted vegetables.
It is a contrast of opposite textures and temperatures. You take a sip of the piping hot, intensely sour liquid and follow it immediately with a bite of the dry, fatty, salty crunch of the pastry. The acidity of the soup balances the heavy oil of the dough.
Looking at both the massive scale of the empire and the daily life inside the Hutongs brings us back one core truth. True quality cannot be rushed.
Whether it's a single imperial brick or the generational street food and courtyard design, Beijing teaches us to play the long game. The ultimate luxury is choosing depth over temporary trends.
Apply the same logic to your career, your brand, and your daily habits. Skip the shortcuts and ask yourself if you are actually building something that lasts.
Drop a comment below. Would you try a bowl of Douzhi? Hit the like button, subscribe to Lux Digital, and we'll see you in the next one.